Who is ready for the adventures of Bill and Jenny? All right, Sam.
Well,
wait, I think I know.
I think they
Papa, I think I know.
I think they were traveling. They're walking. I think they met. They're walking
Papa.
around in that big bubble of air.
Papa, I think I know.
All right, Ileana.
They were asleep and lions were surrounding them.
No,
No.
that's not what happened.
All right, Sean, where did we leave off last week?
I'm pretty sure it was just after they had finished walking, and then they came to the city.
That's about it. All right, we'll do a recap. Now, last week in our adventure, Billy and Jenny and Adrian and David and who else was with them?
Mark.
We had Mark, we had David.
So we had Mark and David.
And we
All right, so we covered everybody. So, last week, the group of 5, led by Bill and Jenny, went on their scuba diving exploration off of one of the islands. Do you guys remember the name of the island?
Nope.
Me neither.
Wait, hold on. Name?
I think it's like Ching La or something like that. I can't remember. Could be Ching La. I don't know.
No.
But
I think if you tell me the names of the people who lived there, I might be able to remember it.
The first people who went there.
well, we had let's see, Lao Ming and Yok Lok and Ying Ming. I believe that was the 3 that was there. While they were scuba diving, they had come across what looked like a bunker door. Why, it was a submerged hatch that was deep under the water, right off of the shoreline. Not too far, maybe 100 feet off of the shoreline, and probably 50 feet under the water was this hatch. Now, they had opened the hatch. When they opened the hatch, it shot up a pod where 2 of them got in. And when they got in and it closed, all the water rushed out of the pod and brought them down to a hallway. Then it went up and got the other 2, and 2 at a time until everybody was down into this hallway. After they'd reached the hallway, they'd seen that this long hallway went over a cliff about 100 feet off. It appeared to be like a cliff, like a drop off. But that was only a downward climb where they still had another 1,000 feet to go before they reached the city. It turned out that this was one of the escape routes that the citizens could use if they were trying to escape the city. Since the city was so far underwater, that they had to have an incremental climb so that they could safely emerge out in the water without getting the bends or any other sicknesses that come from being underwater for too long and rising to the top. All the atmospheric pressure can cause your blood to almost boil. That's what it would seem like.
Boil? I thought it was you get nitrogen bubbles.
Well, you get nitrogen and it feels like it's boiling. When they had reached the end of the tunnel, they had come to this big door. And when they had opened the door, they had revealed the city within. Now, this city was large. Why, could easily feel part of the Grand Canyon. Well, they couldn't see the whole city, but they could see a good bit of it. And what they seen of it was that the most of the city had the same kind of glass structure that the tunnel was made out of that they just walked through. Why, all the buildings were made out of it. The whole dome that was protecting the city from the water was made out of the same stuff. But it was much, much thicker than the hallway. Why, the stuff that was creating the dome was easily 3 to 4 feet thick. But it was so clear that you could see right through it, and on a good sunny day, you might even catch glimpses of the sun in the sky if it was straight overhead. But generally, they were so far down that it was just dark all the time, and they used the lights within the city. Now we will begin this week's adventure. Yay! You guys are so muffled. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. So, continuing of the adventure. My goodness, guys, this place is massive. I never would have thought an underground city could be so big, Billy said, looking at the group and then looking back over the large expanse of space underneath the water. Why, he could shoot a rifle and probably barely hit the other side of the city. If he had a good clean shot, that was, or a straight enough shot. Who's excited to get down in there and see what treasures lie ahead of us? Well, as they started down, the door that had blocked the tunnel was alongside of the huge edge of this underground city. So whenever they'd come in, it was almost like they was in the back alleys of the city. The place was quite clean. In fact, you would think that there'd be dust, but with it being underwater, there was really no dust laying on anything. Why, the city was immaculate. The only thing that was odd about the whole place was the quietness. Why, it was so quiet. Why, it was almost scary how quiet it was. Why, if you've ever found yourself in a deprivation chamber or sound deprivation chamber, well, they drive somebody insane. Within minutes, it can make somebody lose their mind. We need sound in life. Even the sound of the wind blowing or the the crickets chirping in the background. Or a bug flying overhead, whatever it is, we need sound in our life. I'm sure people with, who suffer from being deaf, they've not quite understood it, and they've been in sound deprivation their whole life, but I suppose being born into it and being circumstantial into it, it's quite different. But in normal sense, people find it uneasy with no sound around. And that was until they heard this very unique noise. From afar off, it wasn't too loud, but it was very noticeable amongst the dead silence, where it sounded almost like a chirping. What in the world was that? Well, that was my close chirping noise. Yeah. But that's more what it sounded. Chirping was a bad description. It sounded more like an air blower on silent mode, and all you heard was the puffs of air. Anyways, they don't see anything moving at first, but they do hear the noise coming from whatever it is that's making this odd noise. Now, I'd say we go this way, follow this street down, and see if we can find out where this noise is coming from, Adrian states as he goes ahead of the group, starting the lead. All right, we'll be right behind you. Don't get too far ahead of us, Adrian, Billy shouts out him as he starts getting a distance on him, about 20 feet ahead. All right, well, y'all need to keep up. I just want to investigate this noise over here and see what's going on. Well, there's so much here to check out, Jenny exclaimed. Why, look at these buildings. I'd love to just go in there and see how they stored their knowledge, whether it was on paper or stone or glass or whatever it is that they use here. I'd love to figure out how they stored their data. Well, I'm sure we'll have time for that, Jenny, but right now, we should probably investigate this noise. Any threats we should be aware of. We wouldn't want to be ignorant to any dangers lurking about. Agreed, Adrian. I suppose we should go investigate the noise before we start exploring. We don't want to get caught with our hand in the cookie jar if somebody's home. That's exactly my point. Now, let's go and find out what's making this noise. The group continues around corners and corners until the noise gets louder and louder and louder. Not so loud that it's deafening, but loud enough that...
Like the crickets chirping right now?
Huh?
Like the crickets chirping right now?
Kind of like crickets chirping right now. I'd say almost like a car would sound. Like a small compact car. Not too loud, but definitely audible when you get up on it. Now, as you get close to this noise, they start to notice a pattern to the noise, as if it was revving and slowing down, or it was speeding and slowing down, or as if it was moving about. Not a stationary thing that would have a consistent pitch, but one that had a fluctuating pitch, almost like an idle going up and down. Hold here, guys, Adrian said, trying to talk under his breath not to give their location away. I think whatever it is we're looking for is right around this corner. Are you guys ready? It could be anything. It could be a threat. It could just be Some poor soul that got stuck down here left behind while everybody else went to the surface. Either way, let's go find out. On my mark. 3, 2, mark. With that, Adrian pops around the corner with his gun up at his shoulder, looking down the sights. Looking to and fro, not seeing a thing, but knowing the noise is there, so whatever it is that was there, it's got to be nearby. Where are you? Where are you hiding? Adrian's looking high and low, and there, right above his head, about 15 feet in the air, was this circular disc floating in the air. What in the world? Heads! Everybody look up! And with that, everybody looked up while they saw this circular disc that was kind of made
Use
up.
their suits and go up.
Huh?
They should use their suits and go up.
Well, they don't need to use their suits to go up just yet. They're merely observing to see the reaction. Now, the shape of the disc was very much like a old school explorer's hat, where it was beveled on the top and thin on the edges. But this disc was unlike anything they'd seen before. Why, most discs you see on the surface are made out of metal. But this disc was special. Why, it was made out of the same crystal-like material that the whole complex was constructed out of.
Knew it.
However, inside of the disc were these lights going in like circles with an odd pattern. And they could see that the disc had noticed them as it stopped its routine and hovered right over them. What do you think it's going to do? Adrian said with his gun aimed up at it. I don't know, but let's not do anything until it does something. We don't want to provoke anybody, Billy states to the people. And before they know it, out shines this greenish blue light, scanning the whole group. Beep, beep. I guess we're good. And out of nowhere comes a voice. In a language unknown to any of them, well, aside from Jenny and David. What's he saying? All I hear is, what is he saying? Please state your business. Trespassers will be terminated. All are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Please follow me this way. That's the same thing I got, David said. He was listening in as well. Well, let's follow him or it and see what's in store for us. I don't like the feeling of this. It's got my guts turning. I don't know if we should just follow it willy-nilly. And the group follows this orb or disc, not an orb, a disc, to this grand, tall building right in the middle of the city. Why, this thing had to be 200 stories high. Why, if you know your math, each story is roughly 10 feet.
Which would mean 2,000 feet high.
Which means this building is roughly 2,000 feet tall. Now, under a type of globe, this thing nearly reached the peak. But it just so happened that they was so far down and their technology was advanced enough that even standing on the top of the building, looking at the entire society, there was still at least 500 feet above that tower before you touched the dome, which would make it roughly 2,500 feet from the base to the top of the dome, which is high. Oh, it is quite high, but large enough that a whole civilization could be housed down there. Now, as the group comes closer and closer to the building, the group approaches the building and they walk into these magnificently adorned doors, Why, they had pearl handles and gold outlaid on the front, all the way around the border of the doors. And the doors themselves were made out of the same crystalline structure that the rest of the city was made out of. And as they opened these grand doors, well, I shouldn't say they opened them. Why, as the disc had approached the door within meters, the doors had opened wide, without even making a sound, like a well-oiled machine with silencers for mufflers. "My Lance, this is majestic," said David as he looks into it, taking in the sights, while they had pillars that were 100 feet tall. As soon as you walk in, the building itself must have been 250 feet long at least. Why, it was a massive building. And it had a grand gallery as you walked in, crystalline floors, but not a soul in sight. They walked further into the building, following closely after the disc. "All right, that's it. I'm done. I think that's the last of it in me." As Mark gets up off the toilet, cleaning himself off. "All right, hope they haven't gotten too far ahead of me." So Mark goes over to Garth. "All right, buddy, I'm suiting up. I'm heading down. I wouldn't go in there for at least 20 minutes. That crab really did something to me." "Well, you don't want to fart down there." "What do you mean?" "That stuff recirculates. You'll be breathing in your own gases. Trust me, it's kind of nasty." "You gotta be kidding me." "Well, forget that suit. I'll just use my own then," Mark says as he starts taking off all the ridiculously oversized scuba gear, realizing how silly he was from the start and that he should have just turned on his suit and went in the water just like everybody else did. "I don't blame you for that. I mean, no sense in lugging around extra baggage when you don't need to," Garth says back to Mark. "All right, we will see you when we see you, man." "Alrighty, Mark, you be careful down there. Keep your head on a swivel. Look out for those guys. They mean a lot to me. If I didn't mind going in the water, I'd probably go with you guys, but I prefer on it." "Alrighty, Garth, we'll be back as soon as we can. It could be a day or two, it could be a week, we don't know. I'd say anchor down and get comfy." "Alrighty, ahead of you, pal. I got the coconuts already split in half. Got my straws out, my little banana, or my little umbrella, little toothpicks. I'm set, man. I'll be waiting for you guys unless a storm comes in. Now, if a storm comes in, I'm going to go into that little cove over there," as he points off to the west side of the island, "and I'll tie down in there. If I have to, I'll go ahead and set up a small shelter there if you guys take too long. Now, try not to get lost down there and keep your wits about you. Be safe." "Oh, you getting all gushy on me, are you, Garth? We'll be all right. Don't you worry, man." And with that, Mark fell backwards into the water as if he was doing the scuba gig. Now, Mark's swimming and swimming. He spent about an hour down there searching all over the place. Where in the world is this doggone sidewalk everybody else got to walk down? I don't know why I stayed the night on the boat. I should have just left with them, man. Doggone crab, though. If it agreed with me, I wouldn't be in this situation. Wait, is that what I'm looking for right there? And then he spots it. Why, the old style, bonker looking vault door capsule. He can tell that somebody has recently used it because there are hand marks where there used to be moss or something growing on it. He didn't know. Maybe it was algae, maybe it's seaweed. He had no idea. He was no biologist or anything like that. So he opens it up, and up shoots the pod. This makes things a little easier. And then he pushes the switch inside the pod, and slides down, and all the water leaves. Then he rushes down into the emergency exit tunnel. Why, gosh, this place is amazing. Wow, there's a lot of oxygen in this air. Holy cow, I wouldn't want to light a match in here. Man, that is a long walk. And if I was a walking man, I'd walk it. But I ain't walking today. Yeah, not that far. And with that, Mark initiates his flying features of his suit and speeds all the way down that tunnel. Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down there, buddy. Well, that drop-off came closer than I thought it was. Oh, it's just almost a straight shot straight down. Well, better do it to it. And Mark just shoots straight down like a bullet out of a chamber. Holy moly, this is fun. Oh my gosh. Mark, he's just getting a full blast of it all. Oh, here comes the end. 3, 2, 1, stop. Whew, that was close. Almost smacked right into that door. Oh my gosh. Mark standing merely 1.5 inches away from the door when he comes to a complete stop. Whew, that'll get your heart thumping right there, buddy. Now, how do you open this door? Mark starts looking all over and then finally finds a little latch. Turning the latch, the door opens. My gosh, this place is huge. How am I ever going to find them? Psst. Billy, Jenny, this is Mark. Anybody copy? Psst. Yeah, this is Jenny. We're inside of a great building in the center of the city. We got spotted by some, I don't know, disc thing. Now it says we're trespassers and it's leading us to a court. Stay low. Don't get spotted. We may need your assistance. All right. I'm here. I'll head to the center of the city. Over and out. Looks like a new all right, he says to please wait here. He will get the others. Then we'll proceed with sentencing. Oh, this just sounds lovely. All right, everybody, Billy says. If anything fishy starts to happen, suits up. Okay? We will defend ourselves if we have to. Nobody's going to die today. At least none of us. You got that right, Billy, Adrian says, looking around. Where are these others? And then a second or two comes these other floating things. They are the oddest things they had ever seen. Why, they were people for certain, but they were small. And I mean small. They were about 1 foot tall. And they were inside these glass-like tubes, almost like a baby inside of a mother's womb. The things that they were on were like the same disc-shaped looking thing that the computer was operating. Are you trespassers or are you visitors? Well, sir, my name is Billy. My companions here, this is Jenny, and that's Adrian, that's David. We are explorers. We just so happened to find an entrance into this lovely city. We're only here to discover and explore ancient and lost civilizations. We had no idea that anybody was still around, let alone alive. Are you guys from here? Have you been here the whole time? Are you visitors or trespassers? Sir, we are merely visiting. We do not plan to stay longer than needed. We are only here to explore, to rediscover, maybe take our findings and share them with the world. Let them know that there are other civilizations that have surpassed us in many ways. Why, we have yet to figure out a way to build such solid city underground. Why, what you guys have done here is a marvelous genius. Can't even comprehend the structure of the dome, let alone how you emptied it out or kept the air in or recycle all the air. These things we would love to learn and much more. And if there's any technology or knowledge we could share with you, we would be more than willing to share. Visitors, then. Croken, you are up. It is visitors. Croaken. I am Croaken. Where are you visiting from? Well, we're from America, or North America. I don't know what you would call it today. We are from the West. Very far from the West. Why are you visiting us? We have no signs. We have no messengers. How did you find us to visit? Oh, well, that was the tricky part, Billy states. Like I said, we are discoverers and explorers and researchers. Through lots of research and studying, I discovered a few hints that depicted a city underwater far beyond the technology of our modern day world. With this knowledge, I had to find out for myself. So if that was true, we could share the knowledge with the world. While we've already discovered many different locations and places. Why the temple in Mexico that allows you to go back in time. Or the island of gold. There was so much gold there. Why? It had a ship of gold. But we were able to share these discoveries with others. We've gone underground and discovered civilizations that were long lost. Why, we discovered our golem, which he's not here. Not a huge fan of the water, and he doesn't like tight spaces, and the tunnel we took to get here, he wouldn't fit in. Golems? Oh. Why, we fought against them for millennia ago. I did not think they were around still. If you don't mind me asking, sir, how old are you? Jenny asked. I do not know. We changed. Why, we were larger, like yourselves. But to slow down death, things must get smaller. We discovered a species of fungi that never dies. And it is small enough that it seems as though its size has an effect on its lifespan. We experimented with this, and it proved successful. I am not the oldest here, but I am pretty well old. Why, Vec here is it's close to 4 millennia old himself, right after the Golem Wars. I remember after I had been transformed, he had come along half a millennia later. He too was interested in expanding his lifespan. Now, why do you want to share our knowledge with the world? It is our knowledge. Well, sir, I would like to tell you that we have learned through the sharing of knowledge, we've been able to advance our world. We've been able to eradicate diseases that plagued us for a millennia, or eradicate illnesses that have affected our animals or our plants. Any type of knowledge that we can obtain and share, we are all for it. We are an age where knowledge is power, and knowledge has a price. Some knowledge is free, but knowledge is most valuable now. With the knowledge you guys may have, we could form whole cities. We could terraform countries. Why, I'm not certain the extent of this city here, but it is quite large, and you guys seem to be circulating your air somehow. We transform our air from water. It has 1 hydrogen and 2 oxygen. We separate the hydrogen and use it for fuel, and the oxygen for breathing. The carbon dioxide, that gets pushed back into the earth to come out from a natural vent that is all around us. We will permit you guys to explore our city. We will have to talk to you about what you disclose. There will be things that may not be accessible. As for our technology, what type of technology are you looking for? Do you wish to expand your life by 100 years? Actually, we already figured that one out by the temple up in Mexico. The guy done figured that one out for us. In fact, we all got our shot already. Well, it was a beverage, no injection, but apparently we are good for the next 300 years or so. So we already have, the waters of life, or whatever you call it. We'd like to learn a bit about you guys first. Like, how is it you come to live under the water? What would bring or drive somebody to spend so many resources to live under the water? Secondly, how did you guys figure out how to do this? I can answer that. Why, before we came down, people were being slaughtered. People were being eaten by the giants, the Nephilim. Why, they ate everything. They'd eat a tree whole. All the apples, the worms, everything. They would grab women with babies in their bellies, eat them whole. They would grab a whole family and call it a complete meal. They ravished us. We had no choice. We spoke with one of the angels, and the angel showed us many things. Showed us how to create the structure we have now. Showed us how to extend our lives so we could finish the city. Why, if it wasn't for those angels, we would have probably been dead. In the end, they were all punished all the same, even the angel that helped us. Why, they taught us things God said we weren't to know. But once it was taught, there was no unteaching. Now we have that knowledge too. Do you guys have warfare down here? Is there a division between people? We are of one mind, for the most part. Not many arguments. We sleep. We wait. And we sleep. What are you waiting for? You or anybody to visit, even trespassers. We get the most pleasure from trespassers. We have had pirates, about 100 to 200 years ago. Maybe 3. I don't remember. When we sleep, time is different. Anyways, they lasted 130 years. And then they could not last no more. What do you mean? Oh, well, trespassers get trespassers treatment. You get an extended life with punishment. You mean you gave them 100 years to live on top of the torture you put them through? Ah, we don't call it torture. It's merely experimental. What makes the body tick? What makes it stop ticking? What makes it tick again? How to slow the ticking or to speed the ticking up. We are quite fascinated with the biological functions of the body, how it all works, why it is the most advanced computer in the world. Wait, we're not computers. Oh, are you not? Why, you think, and then you act. And you act on what you think. You tell your arm, lift, and it lifts. Does not the computer do the same? You tell it to build, and it builds. You tell it to stop, and it stops. The body is the most sophisticated computer in the world. And if we are able to finish our main goal, then we will have the most sophisticated computer in the world. What's your goal? To have an organic city. Well, what? Imagine a city that lives, breathes, produces, a city that can move, a city that can withstand extremes, harsh deserts, harsh winters, deep waters, maybe even high altitudes. Imagine if you could take your home wherever you wanted to go, and all you had to do was tell it to go. Follow me home, and it follows you. The legs lift it, and it follows you. Well, we have something like that already. It's not biological. We call them trailers. And mobile homes and RVs. They got wheels. They run on gas or biofuels. Well, we've got something like that already. But can it harden and defend you against an attack? This is what we seek to accomplish. That is got to be the oddest goal I have ever heard. But more power to you, Adrian said. Buddy, we don't want to be disrespectful to them. David steps in. We want to respect their ideologies as much as we can. Would you guys give us permission to free roam and check out your area? Like we stated, we are not here to trespass. Let us know if we're not allowed in an area and we won't go. But we would like to explore as much as we can while we can. We do have a time frame that we must be back within a month. We have 30 days if you'll allow us 30 days to explore your wonderful city. We will talk with the rest of the council and we will let you know. Yes, we will let you know. For now, be our guest. And with that, Crokin and his associate left them in the middle of the big room which they had stood in. Wow. Can you believe this place? My goodness. Floating baby people, floating machines. What else do they have here? I don't know if you noticed, but that baby had white hair. That wasn't a baby. Didn't you hear what he said, Adrian? What do you mean? They literally made themselves smaller so they could live longer. What? Yeah, that's what he just said. If you shrink yourself, somehow you're able to live longer. And 4,500 years is pretty long, if you ask me. 4,500? That little baby's that old? Well, if what he said is true, then yes. I'd make him just as old as the guys underground you were telling me about. Yeah, roughly, maybe a little younger, but yeah. Wonder if they all went and did their thing because of the same thing. What do you mean? Wasn't it obvious? You keep coming across these ancient civilizations that have been tucked away for thousands of years. Why? Well, the last few times I've heard it's because of giants. Think about it. You go where the giants can't go. I'm betting if the giants can't see them under the water, they won't go after them under the water. Betting if the giants can't see them in a small hole in the ground, they won't go in the ground. I'm also betting that if you put people in the sky, out of their reach, giants can't get them there either. What? Wait, Adrian, are you suggesting that there might be some ancient civilization just up in the sky floating around? Well, are you telling me there's actual clay monstrosities that will obey your every word if you put a scroll in its mouth? Alright, you got a point there, Adrian. But still, nobody's seen it. Wouldn't our satellites or our shuttles or our airplanes or a jet, somebody would have seen a floating city by now. Or maybe they wouldn't. Either way, we're under here. Let's explore this place. Psst. Calm check. Are you guys okay? Mark! Oh my goodness. It's so good to hear your voice. How are you doing? Yeah, I ain't crapping myself no more, so that's good. I got that going for me. So far, I think I'm about 3 blocks away from you guys. You still in the big building? Thing's massive. It's got to be a mile tall. Yeah, every bit, buddy. Every bit, Adrian chimes in. You guys going to the top? We hadn't planned on it. We want to look around the area first and see what we can discover. While we spoke to the natives... Natives? There are natives here? Oh yeah, real charming baby people. They're pretty cool. What do you mean charming baby people, Adrian? They're like babies. They're like, a foot big, inside of some kind of biblical chamber, and they float. Pretty odd. And they speak this crazy language I ain't never heard of, but apparently Jenny and David can understand them. Yeah, they got downloaded with some knowledge underground about a year or two ago. Oh, that's just groovy for them. It must be nice knowing every known language in the doggone history of mankind. Well, it has its perks. Can't say that I've run across a language that I can't read or speak. Well, good for you. Maybe I can have you read some of my old writings for schoolwork. I got some stuff that was really touchy, and I just don't remember what I wrote down. Maybe you could read it. Real language, Adrian, not some chicken scratch you threw on a piece of paper. All right, okay, all right. Maybe I wasn't the best writer. No, even the worst is better. What? Not that bad. I noticed you only text or use the phone whenever conversing with somebody. Do you even know what a pencil is? Now, Jenny. Who's picking on who? All right, guys, Billy chimes in. Let's get to exploring this place. Where do we want to go to next? Look at that building. It's the only one that's kind of reddish. It's got a red hue to it. Let's say we check that building out. That's fine by me. Yeah, me too. Let's do it. All right, guys, let's go and check out the red building. And the group walks over the 4 blocks to see this red building, which is about 5 stories tall and about 50 feet wide, maybe 100 feet deep, not very big. Big enough to house some interesting stuff. Now, the glass that makes up the building doesn't make it entirely transparent, so you can't exactly see into the building, but you can get a rough idea of what size it is and how many levels there are by looking to the side and seeing the metal in between each section of the crystalline structure. Man, I hope it's guns. I hope it's guns. You always want guns, Adrian. Yeah, I know. More the merrier. If I could have a tank down here, I'd have one. Mount every gun I could on it. Well, Adrian, you are like a walking tank. You know that, right? Yeah, no. Well, wouldn't it be better to have like a driving tank too? I'd be a tank in a tank. Unstoppable. Yeah, I guess, unless someone dropped you in the water. Tanks don't float. No, but I got this suit and I can swim. And with that, the group reached the front entrance of the building. You guys ready? We're ready. Alrighty. Can we help you? Yes, this building requires permission for access. This is a restricted building. Why is it restricted? This building houses weaponry. I knew it! Adrian exclaims. How do we get permission to go inside? I gotta see what you guys are rocking out here. Please hold. Permission granted. You guys are able to go inside. Please do not stay very long. Do not break anything. And that is where we leave off on this episode of The Adventures of Bill and Jenny. Next week, the Red Building.